What's happening, my Jacked family? Coach Scott here, jackedafter40.com. It has been an incredible week for quality content for us men over 40 who want to get jacked after 40, looking our best and feeling our best. For the past 4 to 5 years, I have been drilling into the heads of my fellow men over 40 to get lean and stay lean, to put those years of bulking and cutting behind us. In this process, I've caught a little bit of slack from some physique coaches out there, but in my honest opinion, the physique coaches who are still encouraging the whole bulking and cutting approach for experienced lifters after 40 are doing these men over 40 an incredible disservice. So last week, the mountain dog John Meadows published a video called Should You Bulk or Cut? It's simple. And then a couple of days later, Greg Doucette published a video that was basically a commentary on John's video and sharing his thoughts on the whole bulking and cutting approach as well. This video is kind of my commentary on both of their videos, which I thought were incredibly well done. Both John and Greg are incredibly experienced bodybuilders, competitive bodybuilders, and John mentioned that in prep for one of his shows, he bulked up to 240 pounds and then had to cut down to 212 pounds for his stage weight. And the following year, he decided to bulk up to 260 pounds. And then when you cut down for his next show, he ended up being right back at 212 pounds. Now, this is the mountain dog John Meadows, who is one of the best coaches in the industry, incredibly intelligent, incredibly experienced, knows what the hell he's doing with his training. So you can guarantee his training was optimized, his nutrition was right on point. The only difference is that he bulked up. He ate calories in excess, and all that extra calories, all that extra weight that he gained during that bulking phase didn't do him any benefit. If anything, it was more detrimental to his physique, and he even said in his video there that he actually ended up looking worse. Greg mentioned that he went through the whole bulking and cutting process as well, just like just about every single one of us, because it's been ingrained in this bodybuilding culture that in order to gain muscle, you have to go through this bulking and cutting approach. My experience, very similar to John's. Like after I dropped 50 pounds, my initial transformation 9 years ago, I went through a 5-year process where I went through the bulking and cutting phase, gaining about 20 pounds each time I would go through a building phase, a bulking phase, sometimes upwards of 30 pounds. And I just found I was trading that same 20 pounds over and over again, really not benefiting from it and really being miserable throughout the entire dieting process. Yeah, I mastered the whole dieting process. I could get it done in the 12 to 16 week time period, and I found like my body responded. I knew what to expect each and every time, but still, dieting freaking sucks. And then to get to the end point and you realize, wow, it really wasn't worth it. I weighed the exact same. Why did I spend all that time gaining all that fat to burn it down and just be basically looking the same? And then for the past 4 years, I've taken a much more slow and steady approach to my building phases, and it has definitely paid off. I've never looked better. It's been a nice, slow and steady process of adding muscle. And you hear that once John embraced that more slow and steady approach to his muscle building, he got himself up from 212 stage weight to in the 220s stage weight, and now in his off season, so he competes in the 220s. In the off season, he's in the low 230s. So you're looking at gaining maybe 5% of your total weight for him in his off season. That is from like stage shredded. So he is staying lean all year long. And with John's approach, he's gaining that 10 pounds slow and steady, then does a little mini cut. So very similar to what I've been doing for the past 4 years, basically spending, do a 4-week mini cut, hold at maintenance for a couple months, do about a 7-8 month muscle building phase, hold that for a couple months, do the 4-week mini cut. So very similar to what John has been doing. For me, I'm looking at maybe gaining 7 to 8 pounds during that muscle building phase and then cutting that off with the mini cut. Greg takes an even slower and steady approach and referring to it as main gaining. I've kind of referred to it in the past as gaintaining. It's very similar where you're staying so close to maintenance level calories and really taking a nice slow and steady approach. I think in this upcoming year, I'm going to be doing kind of an in-between. So this year I've gained about 7 to 8 pounds during this muscle building process. Next year, I have a feeling it's going to be more around that 4 to 5 pounds that I'm going to gain during the year. I'm going to do a whole video on that upcoming in the very near future, kind of talking about the whole successful muscle building process that I went through this year, the best I have ever gone through, and how I'm going to take this year and improving upon it for the following year. Because we're always learning and growing through experiences. And the main thing is just being able to, again, looking our best, feeling our best, living our life to the fullest the entire time. You don't want to be miserable spending a good chunk of your year dieting, and you don't want to ever feel uncomfortable in your own skin. You should be able to step out of the shower and feel confident and happy every single freaking day. Whereas at the end of a muscle building phase, when I gained 20 pounds, I stepped out of the shower, I'm like, I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, being soft around the middle, a little spare tire there. That's not comfortable to me. That's not happiness to me. Yeah, some people say you should love yourself no matter what, but you know what? That's not a standard that I hold for myself. I know where I'm happiest. I know where I feel my best. I didn't feel my best at that stage. I still felt full, bloated, uncomfortable, and I never want to feel like that again. So lessons learned through the process, lessons learned during this process during the past year. Although it was my best year of building ever, I know I can improve upon it. I can see myself really being a lot more in line with Greg's approach, more towards that than John. So I've even taken it even slower and steady than I am right now. And that really ties in with what John refers to as the ideal state. And it's really an ideal state for building, but also looking your best and feeling your best throughout the entire process. So if you're dieting down to contest stage lean, you're around that 5% body fat, you're not going to feel your best. You're not going to look your best. You may look great on stage, like for competition, based on all your competition, you look great. But when you're walking the streets, when you're stage lean, you don't look good. Oftentimes you will look gaunt in the face. It's not as appealing as when you're got a nice lean, firm beach body. A beach body look is fantastic. That's really a look that you should be trying to hold throughout the majority of the year, where you are really happy in your skin. John says like between that 8 and 12%, maybe 8 and 13%. I think he was saying you can maybe push a building phase up towards that 15% for some people. And this is really where I think Greg did a fantastic job and really kind of got me thinking and opening up my mind, because it's very easy for us coaches to kind of put a number in place. All right, 8 to 12% is a good place. It's going to be a good place for most people to sit in. I'd say for us men over 40, some would argue 10 to 15% is good to keep our hormone levels in check, our joints healthy and all that stuff. But I really like how Greg stated, I mean, it's going to depend. It's very individual. We really got to make sure, we're trying to appeal to the masses right now and give some good solid general advice. But really, we really need to look at ourselves as individuals. That's what it makes it easier when you're doing some one-on-one coaching and giving advice directly to a single person based on their experiences. But I really like how Greg talked about how it's more than just how you look. And some people prefer the look of 15% for themselves. Some people prefer the 8% for themselves. So really knowing what makes you happiest in terms of aesthetics, your physical appearance, but even more important is how you feel. And some people feel like dog crap at 8% body fat. They may feel a lot better at 12% body fat. And I think that's probably going to hold true for most of us men over 40. We're probably going to feel fantastic between that kind of 10 and 12% body fat. You get below that 10% body fat, like I loved being when I did the body fat, the 3D body fat scan, 3D body scan back in March earlier this year, and that 7.4% body fat. That's about as lean as I would ever like to get. I felt great at that body fat percentage still. If I went any leaner than that, I don't think I'd be feeling all that good. It's probably where I start experiencing some of the negative consequences that come with lower body fat. I mean, some lower energy, brain fog, sleeping like crap, being cold all the time. So it's important to find that ideal state that you look your best and feel your best. It may be a range, like a 4% body fat range, like John says, 8 to 12% body fat. It may be smaller. Like for myself, I really find I look my best and feel my best between the 8 and 10% body fat. I think once I start getting above that, I'm not quite as happy with how I look. I love how I look, but not as happy as I am when I'm like between that 8 and 10% body fat. And I don't necessarily feel any stronger. I don't feel any better when I'm 10 to 12% body fat. And again, this is all measurement. Who knows if that's exactly what my body fat is. It's just the 3D scan, the tool that I use to measure my body fat, and maybe a little bit higher than that. So take that with a grain of salt. I'm more or less the level of leanness that I see visually in the mirror that I'm going by. Greg really likes sticking around that 9% body fat, and he just hovers right around there. He may occasionally get below around that 8% body fat, but he says he feels better around 9%. He just basically, main gaining, so he stays around that body fat percentage just really teensy weensy, as he says, calorie surplus there, which is right on board with it. I'm saying John goes with a small calorie surplus. So just keep it, you can't force feed muscle growth, as John says, as I have been saying video after video over the past few years. So don't spend your time spinning your wheels, training the same 20 pounds over and over again. I'm telling you, man, I haven't seen any physique coach out there or anyone else over 40, experienced lifter who's gone through this bulking and cutting approach and has come out of it looking better, weighing more, actually having more muscle. Most of these guys are just trading that same 20, 30 pounds over and over again and spending a good chunk of that process not being happy with how they look or how they feel, but they're doing it because you gotta be in a calorie surplus to build muscle, and they just figure the more the better, and it's not true. So you really need to take that advice, take it all with a grain of salt, and just take a much more smart approach, a teensy weensy surplus. Be happy with how you look, how you feel throughout the entire process. Now I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole bulking and cutting approach. Drop a comment down below, share your feedback, share your insights, share your experiences with us. If you know a fellow bro who would benefit from watching today's video, do me a favor and share it with them. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, do so now and smash that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. Before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Jacked After 40. Have yourself an amazing day. Catch you in the next video.